Hello, I'm Liz Sue. I have been doing a series on educating your child from home while working from home. And we're going to be talking about junior hires. Now, if you remember junior high, it might have been a delightful place for you, but for me, it was my least favorite place to be. I didn't like how the kids treated each other. I really liked learning. I was learning how to go from classroom to classroom and remember my books and not forget my gym clothes. And when you change the gym for the locker, and I was learning from the teachers and all different kinds of teachers, and it was very exciting for that and getting into routine and understanding. But the kids, some of them were just awful, awful, awful people, and I hated it. So I became a teacher, and I had to work with fifth graders for my student teaching, and I thought they were nice. And then I went to kindergartners, which is what I had wanted to teach, kindergartners, and I thought they're wonderful. And first graders are great. But junior hires, absolutely, I wanted nothing to do with them. Now I'm certified through ninth grade. I did not want to teach in junior high. But when I graduated college, I needed a job. So I started going to substitute. I substituted in 14 different school districts. I did that for 4 years, and I learned a lot about being in the junior high because nobody else wanted to teach in the junior high, or substitute in the junior high. So I was called a lot. I learned how to be stricter, and the kids weren't exactly thrilled when I walked in the door. But the first few times that I substituted in the junior high, they kind of ate me up, had spat me out. And I was like, that is not going to happen to me again. So I got real strict, real fast. And when they saw me, they would say, "Oh, where are you today?" And when they knew where I was substituting, they were happy. When I homeschooled my own children, I liked them. They were perfectly fine. I had a homeschool group. I talked about that in the introduction, where it was preschoolers. And then I started a homeschool group. Continued that for the people who wanted to continue homeschooling. And we had ages on up through probably sixth grade, I think. And then the next group, as my kids got older, it just got bigger. And so I had different groups that I was part of, not just the one that I had started and continued. That one got up to 65 families. But then there was another one that I started, and we had about 16 to 20 families, which was a nice amount. And I was the facilitator, also known as a leader, but I didn't really consider myself a leader. I just wanted the parents to feel supported. So I'm doing this again to help support you so that you understand that it's okay if you don't know everything. None of us know everything. Not even the teachers know everything. But we do want you to feel like you can work with these junior hires. Well, it was in two of those homeschool groups that I was part of, where I worked with the junior hires, and I realized they might be nasty to one another, because they're still trying to figure out their emotions, and how are you nice to people, and are you mean to people? And I'm sure you've been on some groups that on Facebook groups where people are just nasty. It's like being in junior high all over again. Doesn't feel good, doesn't like it. But as a teacher working with the junior hires, it is so fun. Oh my gosh, they are so open to things. They want to learn. They want to hear what's the background, what's the history. They want to know, okay, what can I do with that? When I was that age, I built a dollhouse. It was out of my grandparents in a little town in Illinois, and Williamsfield. And I wanted to build a house, and the next door neighbors, turned out they were cousins of some sort. They gave me some materials, and so I put together a dollhouse. I nailed all the pieces together. I painted it. I put carpet inside. I had wall dividers. I was thrilled, and I learned a lot about how to work with tools and how to make sure that you measure correctly, and what happens if you have to get a nail out. Oh no. And how do I measure this to make sure that it actually will fit into here, this piece of carpeting? There are a lot of things that I learned from being able to do hands-on activities. And 7th and 8th graders are fabulous for that. They want to. So I would encourage you to really work on projects that it requires them to think a little bit outside the box. Now, they might get afraid because being in junior high, on the one hand, they want to be little kids. They really want to understand. They want to be little comforted, by you. But at the same time, they want to be big, like I want to be in high school big. I want to do it myself. And sometimes they revert in their behaviors when you are trying to help them, but they do myself, me do. And you think, how old are you? Because you're infringing on their ability to think outside the box and practice all the things that they've been learning since they were little, since they were 1, 2, 5, 7, 9. And now they're like, okay, I've got this foundation, let me use it. And now is the time to really encourage them to go and try these things. Now you still have to have parameters in place because they are 13 and 14 years old, maybe even 12 and 13, 14. So you want to have those parameters in place where you can say, okay, this is what it's going to be like today. Now for junior hires, again, I was taught them 3 to 4 hours. We would go through various subject matters. The dog is coughing like crazy. And start algebra, pre-algebra rather, for junior hires, still having some spelling, grammar. Grammar is a great time to begin in 7th grade of actually diagramming sentences and understanding how these all, adjectives and adverbs. I know they'd start them earlier in the schools, but really their brains can't even comprehend. They're just trying to put a sentence that makes sense together. Now I have to identify what kind it is, and it can get a little complicated. So I waited on that until junior high because I knew then their brains were able to comprehend what I was trying to teach them. In the junior high, there are my notes. You want to have fun while you're doing that, and they can be more independent. You don't have to worry that they're going to put chapstick in their hair like I talked about when they're younger. You want to give them that list of things that need to get done. I had my kids have I'm sure that the schools do too, some kind of, book that they can write in. This is what I need to do today. I had a board that I wrote things on. If you don't have a board, a dry erase board, something, just have them write on a piece of paper that is in something, that has a binding to it. Don't have loose pieces of paper because they will disappear. 7th and 8th grade is also learning about keeping track of all these different subject matters. When they were in elementary school, they didn't have to worry about where their stuff was going to go. At home, they don't have to worry about, I lost it in the hallway somewhere, I lost it in the bathroom. But it can still get lost in the shuffle. So I had different colored folders. You might have already set them up this way, but you want to make sure that if they haven't learned how to be organized, that you help them to get organized and have some accountability of, at the end of the day, your binder, your paper, your book are all together and you've gotten your homework done. Here are the things that you get to do, and help them, just like I described in the earlier video about making consequences. And what are the consequences if you don't get your work done? Because they need to know that you are going to follow up, that they will not be able to talk to their friends, play their video games, do those things. So if you miss that, you're going to want to go back and watch that video on how to make sure there's accountability. Then in the afternoons, they did their homework. Again, set the hours. You guys decide, when are they normally in school? What time do they go to school? What time do they end? And your work can work around them. You will love having the flexibility to do your work without having to stand over your child saying, do your work, because you've already have those parameters in place. The classroom teacher has parameters in place. It is work time. It is social time. It is go just do whatever you want to time. But in the classroom, you don't get to disrespect the teacher. If you're rude, there are consequences. You might get a detention. You might get sent to the principal's office. In this case, you are the teacher and the principal and the superintendent of the school. And if there is rudeness, if you were that way at work and you were doing what that 7th grader is doing to you right now, would the boss keep you or would you be fired? Teaching your 7th and 8th grader right now that rude behavior will get them certainly into trouble, detention, if actually not fired. That is a good lesson to learn why you don't have to support your family. So make sure that there are consequences, that you talk about it straight up front. It's a new school, and here are the new rules that you will get to help make. Not you, the parent, but you and your child or children are going to sit down and make the consequences, because they want to be successful. They want you to know that they are great. Same thing as the 5th and 6th graders. They want you to think that they are wonderful, and they are going to be, at this age, their self-esteem is going to be affected dramatically. If they don't have the skills in school and they've been struggling in school and now it's in your face what they know and don't know, they can have horrible attitudes. And it's just because they're afraid. They're afraid you might not love them as much. They're afraid that they're going to get into trouble, like maybe it was their fault that they didn't learn the things they needed to learn. I was in 3rd grade. Yeah, I was 3rd grade, and it was fractions, greater than and less than. I did not understand it. She told me one day, if it's open on this side, it's, greater than. If it's open this way, it's less than. Well, you try and do fractions, it doesn't work that way. But how fractions is, the bigger the number gets the bigger angle. If you have a triangle, this is where the bigger number goes. This is where the smaller number goes. Bigger ends, smaller ends. She could have explained it to me like that. She didn't. She just said, if it's this way, it's greater than. If it's this way, it's less than. So no matter what I saw for the next, until 10th grade, if it was this way, it was greater than. It didn't matter if this was a 1 and this was a 10. That's how I read it. It was the rule, and I did not understand it. And finally, in 10th grade, I finally understood it. Every time it came to that greater than or less than, my brain was freaking out because I knew I was going to just fail it. Was that my fault? No, nobody ever explained it finally until 10th grade. And then I went, oh, that's easy. So your child might have been in that same situation. They just didn't get it. They needed somebody to explain it a different way. You might be that person to explain it. You might be the person to get to see them go, oh, thank you. And it'll be a bonding moment. So keep on working with your child. They want to take on more responsibility. So encourage them, say, look, I've got to get this work done. So I need for us to be sharing on who's cooking. So there are things that you need to learn to cook. So work with them on a recipe that they can do, work with them a couple of times so that they feel really comfortable doing it, and then have them just take it over. That includes setup, cleanup, and then calling people to dinner so you can all eat together. That will help, again, the bonding of describing what you've done that day and things that you've learned. I think that's about all that I can tell you right now. If you have comments, questions, you're like, wait, explain that more, please put that in the comment box. Like if you like what you've seen, subscribe, and I will be posting more on senior hires, 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th in another video. So thanks for being here, and I hope you feel empowered and are ready to take on this adventure.